Greetings and welcome to Black Talk Radio, where black radio stations matter and so do black lives. Today is January 12th, 2018. This video is about a teacher under fire for a class called White Racism. A Florida university posted campus police outside a class titled White Racism after the professor, Ted Thornhill, was flooded with harassing messages. Let's go to the video.
Offering a course this semester called White Racism. Reaction has been swift and severe. So let's bring in now Ted Thornhill. He's assistant professor of sociology at the school who is teaching the course and gave it its controversial title. You're causing trouble everywhere. Everywhere I look, people are discussing you, and you upset a lot of people. Welcome to the program. Thank you for coming on. The first class was yesterday. 2 campus police officers were there to guard the class. How did it go?
It went really well. It was just like the first day in most of my classes. We basically went over the syllabus. I explained to students just briefly about the reasons why the police were present, put everybody in the class at ease, and then we proceeded to go over the syllabus, discuss the nature of the course, the assignments, the expectations, and the readings that would be assigned, and students selected groups that they would be in. And that was about it for the first day.
Calling the class White Racism turned out to be very controversial. Why not just call the class racism?
Well, that wouldn't be precise, and it wouldn't be candid enough. The term white racism is the language of the literature. There's scholarly books with the title, journal articles with the title. I've used the term myself in my own writing, and a course by a similar name was taught nearly a quarter of a century ago at the University of Connecticut. And so I thought at this point in my career, and given the nature of our political climate now, it was necessary to give it an apt and appropriate title, and so that's what I did.
So, the police stand guard outside the university class on white racism, and we know why. One Brian Oliva Infante, I hope I'm saying his name right, told CNN he felt uncomfortable attending the class Tuesday because of the controversy. On his way to class, he said he noticed extra university police officers nearby. Quote, although I was a bit nervous, sitting through the class felt like a sigh of relief, unquote, said Olivia Infante, president of FGCU College Democrats and FGCU for Dreamers. Quote, for the first time ever at FGCU, I was in an academic setting where the majority of people were students of color, he said. Quote, it was beautiful to see that many of my classmates had cultural backgrounds similar to mine. One thing we all have in common was that our communities all suffer from white racism, unquote. Thornhill, who is African American, said he titled the class White Racism because it accurately signifies the material. A course description says the class will, quote, interrogate the concept of race, examine the racist ideologies, laws, policies, and practices that have operated for hundreds of years to maintain white racial domination over those racialized as non-white, unquote. Wow, that is a handful, and that's why they're pissed. It continues. It also aims to, quote, discuss ways to challenge white racism and white supremacy toward promoting an anti-racist society where whiteness is not tied to greater life chances, unquote. The class filled quickly to the maximum of 50 students. For his part, Thornhill says his course is about a search for truth. Quote, my white racism course is not anti-white, it is anti-white racism, unquote, he said in a written statement. Clearly, not all white people are racist, some are even anti-racist. However, all people racialized as white derive in some measure material and psychological benefits by virtue of being racialized as white, unquote. I'd like to repeat that. Clearly, not all white people are racist. Some are even anti-racist. However, all people racialized as white derive, in some measure, material and psychological benefits by virtue of being racialized as white, unquote. So you see, people were having a problem with him titling the class white racism. And in fact, if you saw on the Don Lemon clip, he even asked the question, why not just call it racism? Well, that's because it would be wrong to title a class as such, because then that would imply that everyone can be racist, and it's just not true. For the record, and for the umpteenth time of black people having to connect the dots for white people to understand what racism is actually about, it's when you have control, like what whites do in this country. When you have control of the government, you have control in every aspect of life, and you can determine the destiny of those who are not white. That is what racism is about. That is why the class white racism is true and correct. And I surmise why the white racists are pissed. I'm not saying white people, I'm saying the white racists. So if you're pissed and if you're upset over this class, then you too are the racists who he is teaching people about. And so with further ado, I understand why you're butthurt. Anyways, I give Ted Thornhill 2 thumbs up for being bold enough to have a class like this to teach those who want to learn how to dismantle it and how to deal with it. This is Black Talk Radio, where black radio stations matter, and more importantly, Black Lives Matter. Thanks for watching. Peace out.